My ZX family, how are you? As always, you guys have my gratitude for remaining here and showing me so much love. Let's not waste any more time and examine. What is going on with XRP? Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying these XRP updates. Let's go right in though. We're actually seeing a lot of green in the market right now as we head into Monday morning. There's going to be a lot of excitement, so get on board. If you look at the price of XRP, it's currently up around 1%. Additionally, we're up roughly 0.4%. It's 4% of Bitcoin's price, which is currently at $218. Is close to $130 billion once more, and its 24-hour trading volume is over 1.5 billion. As usual, though, I want to give you all a brief disclaimer before we go any further. This channel does not offer financial advice. Always conduct your own research and due diligence before making a cryptocurrency investment. Here it is. The FOMC meeting coming Wednesday is one of the most important, crucial aspects of this week. According to Polymarket users, there's a 97.5% chance that the Fed won't alter its rate cut plans this Wednesday. This suggests that we should take a closer look at the upcoming FOMC meeting, which is set for the end of July and September. Many individuals are already predicting that July may not see that rate drop either. There are many people who are looking forward to September, and this is the time when the market may be at its best. However, we'll see what transpires. Since the sooner the better, I believe it would be preferable if it even began in July, naturally. It is what people want to see since, in my opinion, it may serve as the main catalyst for a significant market movement, particularly in the altcoin market. We'll see what occurs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, of course, right now. However, the G7 meeting is also happening in Canada, where most of the world's leaders will be attending. It goes without saying that they will debate, and, in my opinion, the main focus will be the trade negotiations, which we will undoubtedly hear. As a result, I anticipate turbulence in the days ahead, but going forward, the protocol will be valuable. Since it is open source and accessible to anybody for any reason, the ledger of Ripple Intelliger ILP XRP, additionally, the migration to ISO 200,022 is expected to accelerate over the course of the following 6 months. Although the majority will soon upgrade, around half of central banks have not yet embraced the ISO 200,022 messaging standard in the real-time gross settlement system. And as you are aware, XRP is ISO 200,022 certified, which is of course where these banks might finally begin utilizing the Ripple technology. This is going to be the groundbreaking moment when we finally witness this occurring on a worldwide basis. You know, it's very fascinating stuff. It goes without saying that this is the reason we have been paying attention to the ISO 200,022 messaging standard. The old one is extremely out of date, and this is where the big shift lies. The CEO of BlackRock argues that the company is bringing traditional capital markets into the digital environment that will shape the next 10 years. What does that make us think of? Tokenization of assets in the real world once more. We have a fantastic example in front of us. Going forward, the Ripple RLUSD stablecoin is expanding on Ethereum with a 4-fold increase in supply since the start of the year. Naturally, this shouldn't come as a huge surprise to any of us since stablecoins are becoming more and more spoken about. As you might imagine, this will increase interest in already available, stable, and regulatory compliant currencies, and this is the point at which Rust excels. Therefore, I don't find it shocking that the supply is increasing. Well, that's about it, in addition to the demand factor. As a result, the XRP ledger Apex this year is concentrated on the practical implementation of the XRPL ledger. Included in this are domains that provide institutions with a safeguard of KYCML participants and compliance to permit institutions to interact on the XRPL ledger authorization. To just a few, it is essential to pay attention to how these compliance building blocks and XRPL DeFi function together. They can be used similarly to Lego, Layer 1, and native bricks. Once more, we have a fantastic example in front of us. At the recent XRP Las Vegas conference, Greg Kidd, an early Ripple investor, revealed a new initiative. Kidd disclosed that he is developing a unique bank charter for businesses that prioritize digitalization. Companies like Ripple would be able to get a banking license under the idea without needing to have physical branches or engage in lending activities. Discuss the future of finance. However, let's examine the supremacy. You see, I made reference to the decline of dominance in both my H-bar and other altcoin updates. In fact, the dominance has dropped significantly in the previous 24 hours alone. Despite Bitcoin's successful recovery above $106,000, it continues to struggle at the crucial resistance level of 106,800. You all understand how important that range is. We must use it to our advantage. I've personally estimated that if it can accomplish that, 109,000 might be quite close to our goal. Naturally, though, as I mentioned earlier, this week is likely to be more volatile. Going forward, if you're still seeing XRP trading around the 38-point Fibonacci retracement level, we'll clearly concentrate on the hourly time frame since, well, that time zone provides us a better idea of what's going on. As early as June 13th, you can observe this for yourself. As you can see, XRP continues its upward trajectory. As you can see, we are up by roughly 4.7%. Nothing, of course. It's explosive now, but you know, that's not really where you want. To see how strong XRP is, you should definitely take a look at the lows for several coins in April. April was a low point following that significant setback, you know? Since that time, XRP, the fourth largest asset in the cryptocurrency world, has increased by 35.25%. It's very amazing. But many people overlook the fact that we are still in the 23.6 and have not yet moved out of the Fibonacci retracement level. Many people didn't see that, but not on our station. I appreciate all of your help. Every single one of you is loved. What are you guys being bashful about if you haven't subscribed? Press the subscribe button in red. From CryptoZX, see you later. You will miss something happening on the XRP ledger if you blink right now. For XRP, the past few months have been absolutely enormous. Furthermore, I'm not discussing price activity because, well, let's be honest. Price things have been difficult. And let's be honest, things have been difficult since January. There hasn't been much expansion in the Bitcoin space. I understand that sounds odd, don't you think? We are discussing XRP? Why are we discussing Bitcoin? The reason for this is that we are currently in a Bitcoin era. It all comes down to Bitcoin. The dominance of Bitcoin is 65%. We simply follow what Bitcoin is doing at the moment, you know? However, this is technically sound. And the reason for this is that with all that is going on with the XRP ledger and XRP at the moment, the main concern that everyone has is, why isn't XRP pumping as a result of all of this news? Since we're still dependent on Bitcoin, the answer is yes. Fortunately, if we are asking that question, then XRP should be rising, which also indicates that pressure is increasing behind the scenes. And XRP will soar when we eventually begin to see that pleasant rising trend in Bitcoin and Bitcoin dumps plummet. However, let's first discuss a few specific reasons why this is the case. Before I get started, I must state that this is the ideal moment to join the free Discord. It goes without saying that there is a paid side. I'm telling you straight now, you won't regret joining the paid side. Of course, the decision is yours. Nevertheless, there will be a link in the explanation below for you all to join, and you won't regret it. Having stated that, let's get started. It goes without saying that OSG received the first significant update. Now, let's not forget that this was announced in January. On the XRP ledger, however, tokenized U.S. Treasury securities are currently active. BlackRock's backed Ono finances OSG, unlocks 247 institutions, mintable and redeemed with RLUSD. On-kind finance is entering a new era. Indeed, this is fantastic. Indeed, the RWA.xyz website is now tracking this. Around the RWA figure, we could observe a nice, nearly 9% upward movement. Additionally, if we scroll down, we can see that the XRP ledger currently has $10 million. Linked to it, given that I was actually discussing this the other day, this is a significant change. The XRP ledger contained only roughly $1,500. We are witnessing a significant increase in the amount of money coming in and going out on. The XRP ledger centered around tokenized value. It's wonderful to see this. It is clear that Ono is a behemoth when we consider him. They have a total value of $2.68 billion associated with them if we click on Ono here. And let's be honest, if we go over here to the US Treasury, we know that Ono is technically the best. Please note that we are unable to purchase securitized stock. We are unable to purchase a securitized token. Ono is officially the top entity in this list, but they have around 4 billion tokenized treasuries that are connected to the network. Ono is therefore a stacked giant. In terms of the entire RWA value, we are currently at around $23.5 billion. If we look at the market perspective, in fact, we were able to view every asset by scrolling down. It goes without saying that Ono is at number 5. However, they have been expanding. Listen, if we look at OSG, we can see that it has increased by 27.5% over the past 30 days. And it has been expanding significantly. Now, of course, we have the XRP ledger here. This Polygon has no value associated with it. It is actually larger than Solana and Ethereum. However, I believe that we are still in the early stages of XRP's development. Even with all of these significant moves, we're just getting started with this. Therefore, I'll wait a little while longer before attempting to look at this and conclude that there is only $137 million associated with the XRP ledger. When will there be an increasing amount of money associated with this? However, I do believe that we will eventually arrive. By the way, we were at 127 million, but we could see that this actually grew because of the Guggenheim Treasury Services DCP, which is currently at $10 million. Once more, it's up by 17.6% instead of the first nearly 9% that I was referring to. Once more, you can observe in real time that things are beginning to shift in the XRP ledger. However, when I think of Onondo, I also think of the Wall Street 2.0 movement, which is currently occurring with Ripple as well, since Ripple is heavily connected to Onondo through these projects. More recently, Ripple XDEV released a video featuring Ono Finances. In case any of you are unaware, Nathan is the CEO of Ono Finance. Additionally, we have on-kind access, actual commercial utility, tokenized treasuries, and more. Nathan explains why the smooth settlement of OUSG on the XRP ledger using ROUSD is significant for institutions. This is how tokenization becomes widely used. Right now, I do have this at 1.25x. This is to circumvent the copyright crap on YouTube, which will mute this video. So let's hope they don't muffle this. I'll be sorry if they do. However, take a look. The cyclical and wave-like nature of markets is fascinating. In light of this, it is reasonable to assume that this is only the start of the tokenization tsunami that is currently taking place. The game of, oh yeah, let's speculate on whether you know. Hey, this is going to happen, or let's think about 5 or 10 years down the road, is no longer applicable. No, this is taking place right now. Here we have tokenization. That was evident. To us, we could follow it. The numbers are right in front of us. In addition, I don't believe I should mention that for the past 6 to 12 months, this has been on the rise. And it keeps growing. It's almost every day there is a significant announcement on tokenization. What's even more bizarre is that this is actually taking place on the XRP ledger, because it won't ultimately occur on memecoins. It's taking place on a number of these fantastic utility-based project networks that won't be taking place on Bitcoin, all right? Furthermore, we also learned about a few events that were taking place at XRP Apex. We actually heard from Ono. Finance's Ian Debode. Gradually, and then all of a sudden, we've reached the point of tokenization. He was really talking to Monica Long on the main stage of the XRP ledger at Apex 2025 to discuss what's coming up as markets move on the chain. By the way, because there is music, this is also at 1.25 times the speed. What do you believe it is? About this year or last year? When would you say the real turning point occurred, and what factors led to it? Finally, we have reached a stage where regulatory certainty is beginning to take shape. And I would contend that tokenization is already scaling if you simply look at the stats. You're actually beginning to notice that hockey stick moment of inflection. Cash at first, then treasuries. One of the most important questions is, what's next? Will it be private equity or real estate? We think that assets that are already liquid and that people truly want are the ones that make the most sense to tokenize. For example, publicly traded stocks and exchange-traded funds ETFs, but I contend that tokenization is already here. Indeed, we have reached the point when things are beginning to pick up significantly, and even over here, the future is untrappable. Additionally, USDC is listed on the XRP ledger. Once more, this will hasten institutional and DeFi adoption, because this is one of the most stable and liquid coins. As a result, we will soon see many more tokenization initiatives revealed on the XRP ledger. And all of this has been going on for the past few weeks, you know. The USDC company circle is currently active on the XRP ledger. Developers, organizations, and users benefit from the backing of the biggest, most regulated stablecoin in the world with the introduction of native USDC on the XRP ledger. Business-to-business payments. For international money transfers and to increase capital efficiency across borders, use USDC. Market makers can leverage DeFi liquidity and USDC provisioning to bootstrap liquidity for tokens, pairs, and foreign exchange movements. USDC can be integrated with fintech platforms, custodians, wallets, financial apps, and infrastructure apps to provide quicker, more transparent settlement solutions. USDC is a reliable digital currency that drives innovation in global finance, DeFi, and payments. Now that the XRP ledger has been added, USDC is natively supported on 22 blockchains. What's crazy about this? Do you know? When the Circle Payments Network was introduced, I recall everyone stating that USDC was going to destroy Roused. No, a much larger picture is beginning to emerge. All of these are cooperating.